Hello all, and welcome back to another episode of Hyper Blue Reviews. Today's topic is an interesting game to say the least. A little cheap indie gem known as Little Adventure on the Prairie. Let's get started. Little Adventure on the Prairie is a hack-and-slash adventure game where you follow a young man with an insatiable appetite for destroying anything that gets in his way. Little Adventure on the Prairie was developed and published by Infinite Mata, and I assume that's how you pronounce it, I'm not entirely sure. I believe this was Infinite Mata's first game, and it shows. It was first released for mobile in 2017, then for the 3DS 1 month later, and then it was released for the PS4 in 2018. For this review, I'll be focusing on the PS4 version. Alright, so now's the time when I normally like to talk about the story, but there isn't one. Seriously, the game is just 12 levels of hack and slash, mehness. Not quite greatness, not even goodness, just mehness. Since there's no story, there's no real reason for the character to be doing what he's doing. The character just walks right and attacks everything in his path. There are no cutscenes before or after any of the levels, and there's no ending cinematic either. The store page basically says the same thing, and I quote, "A short and fun platforming adventure game. Venture through 12 levels of pure slaughter and mindlessly try to kill all the monsters that are facing you. Want to finish the last level from the first time without dying? Try using the different items throughout the levels to overcome all the monsters and obstacles easier." End quote. So that doesn't necessarily help with the story, but at least it's something. Also, spoiler alert, there are really no items that offer variety, but more on that in a second. The gameplay of Little Adventure on the Prairie is incredibly simple. You walk right and press square to attack. There are also platforming elements as well. Occasionally you'll have to jump over a gap or ascend a series of ledges. You're never really in any danger of falling in a pit as your character jumps like he's on the moon. There are also hazards scattered throughout some of the levels, such as lava ground. It's interesting because the lava hurts you some of the time, but not all of the time. The ultimate goal of each level is to defeat a certain amount of enemies. Most enemies will be encountered on your way to the end of the level, but you may have to seek some out. Most stages are linear, that is, you go from the left side of the screen to the right side of the screen, but there are one or two stages that require you to explore more. Each level can be beaten within minutes without really trying. I beat each of the first stage levels in under a minute. Most stages can even be beaten in 30 seconds. In fact, you can beat the entire game within an hour if you wanted to. As I've mentioned already, the main point of the game is hacking and slashing your way through various levels, and to be honest, the hack and slash elements aren't actually that good. There's no real indication of your character hitting an enemy and the enemy's hitting you, aside from a quick flash of red. It would be nice if hitting the enemy would cause the enemy's sprite to change and to cancel the enemy's attack, but it doesn't. The same can be said for you when you're hit. An enemy is able to drain most of your health bar because there's no grace period before getting hit again. In most games, your character would be invincible after getting hit and flash for a few seconds to indicate that. Here, your health bar just lowers. There are ways to avoid getting hit though. You can either stand far enough in front of enemies and attack, or swing like a maniac and hope to connect, or you can actually jump on their heads and swing with your sword. Although it may be considered cheating, I actually prefer the latter choice because it's a pretty funny sight to see your character standing on enemies' heads. There's even a chance that you can jump over the enemies and attack them from behind, which gives you a great tactical advantage. You're not supposed to be able to jump over the enemies, so you can attack them from behind without getting hit. The sad part about this game is I had to use the trick where you jump on the enemy's head in order to beat the game. The trick works 99% of the time, but some enemies can still attack you. Unfortunately, when you lose all of your health, you have to start the entire level over, so it's very annoying when you're at the end of the stage and you lose to the last enemy. I will say though that the artwork looks decent enough, and you can tell some effort went into the background and foreground art. But the art isn't spliced together well, and you can see lines where the background images don't match. The characters look good though, and the movement is also pretty fluid. The music is not the best, to say the least, but you don't really get a chance to listen to the music because the levels are so short. Now, when I mentioned earlier that there were no items in the game, I guess that's not a really fair statement. You see, your character starts off with a base attack and defense stat of 1 at the start of every level. There are stat increase pickups scattered throughout the level. Now, I think that's what the store page was referring to when it says items, but to me that doesn't really mean an item, it's just a stat increase. In any case, your strength increases by 0.5 for every sword icon you pick up, and your defense increases by 0.5 for every shield you pick up. They're a good addition to the game, but the fact that they go back to 1 at the start of each level is annoying. Your stats also drop back down to 1 if you lose a life as well. And this is especially frustrating because the enemies seem to get stronger and stronger as the game progresses, but you're pretty much weak throughout. So all that being said, I'm reminded of one of my favorite Mystery Science Theater 3000 quotes. Can we make it a law that in the future, films have to be made by filmmakers? Honestly, this was the first thing I thought of when I played this game, and I thought to myself, maybe we should leave game development to actual game developers. While the MST3K crew was probably serious with their comments, given that it was made in regards to the movie Hobgoblins, I'm only joking around. I never want to discourage anyone from making games, but honestly, I will say that this game needs a lot of work. I just don't think it was quite ready for prime time. Although, I will give the developer a little bit of credit here. They rushed out a poorly made game, but they loaded it with valuable achievements, or gold trophies in this case. And they make those achievements incredibly easy to get, and achievement hunters like myself will pay the obscenely low price to play the game. All that being said, the game really wasn't that fun to me, and I only purchased it for the trophies. I enjoyed having a laugh or two at some of the abrupt scene changes and poorly overlaid background, but there's honestly no replay value to this game. My suggestion, give the game a try if you're looking for some easy trophies. The game is honestly cheap enough that it's worth it for the trophies alone, otherwise, give it a pass. So at the end of the day, I'm giving Little Adventure on the Prairie 1.5 weirdly spliced background images out of 5. I hope you enjoyed this month's review. Tune in next month for another game or movie review, and as always, thank you for watching.